Hey friends, this is one of those topics that I have mentioned at our nutritional classes on Wednesday evenings. I have mentioned this to some of clients that we've gotten a dialogue about the effects of COVID, long COVID, clotting factors, arrhythmias, how the infection of the coronavirus has impacted our circulatory system, our heart rhythm, blood clot potentials. So I say all this to say, please don't misunderstand my remarks as definitive. This is ongoing research, not just by someone in nutrition, but by other epidemiologists, medical practitioners who study immunology, who study cardiovascular situations and events, and basically the newness of coronavirus infection. So let me share with you a personal experience. When I had coronavirus, actually to date, I won't date this video, but to date 2 years ago, it was about 6 months later, and I really started to develop some bad arrhythmia to the point it was every day. So while this is not a weight loss topic, it's a health related topic with respect to breaking down proteins. Now, what we do know is, and you can always take what I say critical, verify it. I have no problem with that at all because I want you to think critically about your health, critically about your nutritional choices that you make or nutritional information that you receive from someone like me. That's how confident I am that I've been looking up and making sure we're on the right path with this. Now, so personally, I was troubled by arrhythmia that was happening every day. It was an irregularity. I was not going to take a beta blocker because once you start those medications, there's no end in sight, and I'm just not that guy. I'm not open to that. I don't want that. If you want that in your life and welcome it, that's up to you. I'm not going to judge you for it, but I am going to offer alternatives that are nutritional, that are safer than some of the therapies out there that are more synthetically produced, particularly ones that are produced abroad overseas, right? I'm not a fan of that either, and that's as far as I'll go with that. So some of this is going to sound like I'm trying to fly under the radar, but I don't fear any of that kind of thing, but I also don't want a bullseye on me for trying to help people naturally, okay? Now, here's what I did. I did use kinesiology to find out what my barriers were, and I knew they were viral. I knew they had to do with spike protein, which is tied to coronavirus infection. So if you were infected by coronavirus, in response, your body will create something called a spike protein. This was by design. We know now by the engineers who improved gain of function of that virus. That sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, I understand to some folks, but basically there was an ulterior motive of engineering this virus, and as you all saw, it worked famously. Now, for those of us who lived through it, we have the aftermath of health impact to deal with. One of those is the spike protein beginning to block or become a barrier to the microcirculation. Now, microcirculation is small arteries, some of them of which are the size of our hair, and only allow one red blood cell through the lumen or the center of that artery at a time. What happened with a spike protein is it looks like under microscope burnt Parmesan cheese that's been grated. That's the best way I can describe it. So crosshatch Parmesan cheese looking protein strands under the microscope, blocking circulation, leading to some possible effects like cardiac arrhythmia. So what did I do? I began to think about that, consulted a good friend of mine up in Northeast Tennessee, and we decided to put me on 5 different proteolytic enzymes with a particular category of proteases, meaning they're enzymes that break down protein, okay? So I took 5 of them. I noticed within 6 weeks that my arrhythmia decreased by about 50%, and after about 4 months, by almost 100%. Excuse me. So, what did I use? I used 3 products from Allegheny Nutrition, and I used 5 total at a time, but I had about 8 in rotation. So I wasn't taking them all at the same time because I wanted to make sure I was well-rounded and I took care of any possible protein that was blocking my circulation of my heart. So I used 3 from Standard Process. I used Enzicor, I used Digest Forte, and I used Ochrapepsin E2. Those were the proteolytic enzymes I used from Standard Process. From Allegheny Nutrition, great company, I used Natto-LP, which contains nattokinase. I used Cardio Support, which has ceratiopeptidase. Ceratiopeptidase is derived from ocean foods, we'll call it like that. So plants from the ocean, seafood from the ocean, rich in ceratiopeptidase. Japanese cultures have the lowest incidence of heart disease. They have a diet rich in foods that contain naturally occurring ceratiopeptidase. Read between the lines. And the third one I used was the HP Formula Digestive Enzyme from Allegheny Nutrition. So, once I rotated Standard Process, Allegheny Nutrition, I rotated in 2 catalysts from Energetics, Catalyst C and Catalyst U. That's how I did it. Now that seems like a lot, and I know you're probably all not writing that down. You can consult me for the protocol. If you have an arrhythmia issue that you want to address naturally, you know my number. Contact me about this. It has to be face-to-face. I will consult with someone over the internet, but I prefer it be face-to-face with some blood work in hand that's been within the last 90 days. Hope this is helpful to you. If you want further information, reach out to us. God bless you. God bless your recovery if you have had struggles like I have, and we'll talk to you real soon.